Good morning and welcome to the DFS YouTube channel. I'm Razzle11. You can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Here to take a look at pitching for today, the 26th of August. It is Wednesday and we do have a 5-game day slate and a 7-game main slate ahead of us this evening. From my understanding, there's no weather to worry about on this slate, so we get to take pitching for what it is. A reminder that this is a first look at the pitching options on these slates, and I am going to be looking at DraftKings as that is where a majority of my action is. If you play in FanDuel, cut my pool in half or so. Pricing isn't quite as tight. You don't have to be as creative. It allows you to get stacks you want with an upper tier-ish pitcher. Now with all that stuff said and done, let's just jump right in. Get this out there to you. This early slate, not the most easy, I guess the easiest of pitching options. Luzardo and Wu, obviously the top pitching matchup. We know Luzardo super like volatile, full of a ton of upside. He's thrown 100 plus pitches in 5 out of his last 6 starts. So like he's thrown plenty of pitches, 9 plus strikeouts in 3 straight in 4 out of his last 6. So the strikeout numbers are there. Seattle's not a super worrisome matchup. His numbers on the road are far better than at home. Like he's probably just has to be the number one pitching option. Some of the Seattle bats have woken up, Cal Raleigh being the main one. And we know that Luzardo can have volatility. He just generally doesn't do it in back-to-back starts, though. Like, he tends to figure things out. So, I mean, he did it earlier this year in back-to-back starts, but just a ton of upside. So, he's got to be the number one pitcher on the slate. On the other side, Brian Wu has had some super volatile outings recently. Not showcasing a huge ceiling by any means, but just 2 solo home runs allowed over his last 3 starts. Strikeout numbers have been kind of down. He has exactly 5 strikeouts in 4 out of his last 5 starts. Is that 6 of 8? So that's obviously a concern. But his home splits are just phenomenal. They absolutely blow away his numbers on the road. He's one of the best pitchers at home in all of baseball. I think there's some upside spot to him. I really like the price point at 8,800 on DK. He's my second favorite pitcher for upside on the slate. Guys that I'm probably just a little bit more interested in from a safety standpoint are going to be Cantillo, which feels weird because he walks so many dudes. But obviously it's a matchup we love to target. 1 earned allowed in 3 straight appearances. 2 earns or fewer in 5 straight. 22 fantasy points against the Angels the first time he faced them. So he just has the matchup we're looking for. He's a little bit more volatile, but still. Landon Rout, his numbers recently have been terrible. So it's really tough. Just 1 earned in this start, but 5 walks. Like, massive walk issues of late. He absolutely dominated Cincinnati earlier this season. He doesn't give up many hits at home. It's really the walk issues. I'm going to be pretty heavy on Landon Rout on this slate. It's going to burn me some of the time, but the ballpark plus the K matchup is just really nice for me on this slate. Eduardo Rodriguez is a guy that I think we need to use more. The more and more that I look at it, 20 plus in 4 straight starts. He's one of those guys that's pretty steady overall. I don't really expect him to go out and strike out 9 again, but 5, maybe 6 strikeouts, probably pretty good. His numbers at home, really solid as well. Doesn't really give up home runs at this point in his career, especially at home. I think he's just steady. I realize the Cubs offense is super potent, but I like Eduardo Rodriguez a decent amount. We're playing these top 5 guys. I don't know if I want to play much of the rest. I am going to mix in some Grayson Rodriguez. Feels dirty, and I understand it. But, he's coming off of a start with 0 earned runs allowed. 2 earned runs allowed, 2 earned runs or fewer in 3 out of his last 5 starts. I think he's showcasing enough that makes him super viable. He has been pretty bad in this ballpark, so that's a worry. Like, his home splits are atrocious, so he's like the opposite of Brian Wu. I just expect Cleveland to be super popular, and I think there's a route for Grayson to do this again, right? Mid-20s. We get mid-20s out of him with how popular I expect Cleveland to be. I think we're in a very interesting spot for GPP upside. 20 plus in 2 out of his last 4 starts. So I'm mixing in some Grayson Rodriguez. I'm not really playing any of the other guys. Like, Lodolo just can't strike anybody out. Walks are up. I can't trust him. Obviously, he gets the ballpark boost, but man, he's just been rough. Bubba Chandler, all the talent in the world and upside in the arm, but he just can't put it together enough. He does have a couple of those starts. Struggled against San Diego the first time we faced him. He's been worse on the road as well. I just think it's a place where I can just pass on Bubba Chandler and just hope it doesn't bite me. Matthew Boyd, certainly capable, but the last handful of starts have not been good. A ton of home runs, 8 of them allowed over his last 4 starts. A high in the strikeout category of 3 in those starts. So, like, things just aren't going the best for Boyd, and Arizona does not strike out against left-handed pitching. So, I'm basically playing these top 5 plus Grayson Rodriguez. Nearly cutting the pitcher pool in half on this slate. Switching over to the main slate, this is definitely a true first look, as first time even getting an idea of the matchups on this main slate this evening. Peter Lambert and Elmer Rodriguez. Lambert, somebody I am going to play. The reverse splits is something. He hasn't been sharp recently, coming off a real bad performance. But prior to that, had given up 2 earned runs in 5 straight starts. 2 earned runs or fewer in 8 straight. K numbers have kind of come down, but there's K numbers, K upside in this matchup. He's been far better on the road, which I think kind of fits his reverse splits. That home ballpark is kind of rough for pitchers against right-handed bats. There's upside. There's obviously volatility. It's not like he's going to go perfect against left-handed bats. The Yankees have some power in that ballpark. But I think Lambert is somebody I want to definitely get exposure to. Elmer Rodriguez on the other side just hasn't really shown the same prospect upside in the majors. So I'm just going to pass. He's yet to complete 5 innings in the majors as well. Kansas City, Toronto. Toronto appears to be going with Spencer Miles in kind of a bullpen game. I'm going to guess that there might be a long man coming in after. Not really sure who it'll be, but I'm not going to go there. Randy Dominick has been throwing the ball pretty impressive. I'm just not going there. You could say, he's given up 2 earned runs or less in all but 1 of his appearances. And I get it, but is he somebody that can just keep these numbers up on the road? He's yet to allow an earned run on the road in 23 and 3rd innings. Average against a 181 on the road, but his average against at home 319. So something's got to give here, and I really do expect some regression. It's not the worst of matchups. There isn't a lot of K upside, but I just can't play Randy Dominick on the slate. Milwaukee and the Mets. Stock could be all right. He hasn't, 1 earned run or fewer in 3 out of his 4, but a high of 16 fantasy points doesn't feel great. Right-handed pitching against Milwaukee, probably not the most ideal. On the other side, Dustin May. Really strong start against San Diego with the Brewers, and then a horrendous start last time out. It's kind of the Dustin May experience at this point. He's probably in play. He shut down the Mets first time he faced them with the Cardinals. But he's been much worse on the road, so there's an issue there. I think he's just worth playing because he does have the upside, and I would not be shocked if he comes back after that last start and puts up a 22 to 25 fantasy point performance. It's not somebody I want to be overly exposed to on the slate, though. Dodgers Braves. Smith Shawver taking on the Dodgers. I'm not getting there. I did debate Bryce Elder. If you saw our pre-lock show last night, I talked about why I was considering Bryce Elder last night. I didn't play him. He wasn't amazing. He just gave up 3 runs in 6 innings, but he also wasn't a gas can. Schmidt-Shawver, a lot of walks right now, just a lot of base runners. Probably not the best form to be coming into facing the Dodgers. On the other side, Roki Sasaki. Glasnow struggled in the first inning and then settled in mightily last night. Sasaki's another one of those guys. Like, he can look rough and then kind of settle in. He needs to avoid the walks and then, 2 and 3 run home runs that can happen. But I think I want to use a little bit of Sasaki. I'm really curious to see what his ownership projection is. But as of right now, I plan on mixing in a little bit of Roki. Texas and the White Sox get Mackenzie Gore and Sean Burke. Mackenzie Gore coming off of a really strong performance against the Angels. 2 of his last 3 starts were against the Angels, and they were very strong. It's not the greatest matchup for him, and his road splits are kind of rough. It's really the walks that get to him on the road. I like left-handed pitching against the White Sox overall. A couple of guys can swing it against left-handed pitching, Randall Grichuk, Miguel Vargas. But I think overall that lineup just weakens against lefties. So I am going to get some exposure to Gore, but it's not going to be heavy. More like the 10 to 15% range. Sean Burke on the other side, somebody I'm going to. The last couple have not been good, and he conceivably could be hitting a bit of a wall. His best season by far at the major league level, probably at some innings limits or approaching his career high in innings at any level. So that's an issue. His whip average against at home are pretty strong. He gives up less home runs. His walk rate goes down. Strikeout rate's not as strong, but still, Texas isn't like a pushover matchup for pitching. They don't exactly strike out an absolute ton, but I think Sean Burke's got to be one of the better options on the slate. As you see, he's the most expensive option. So that kind of tells you the type of pitching we have to work with. Baltimore, St. Louis, you get Bradish and McGreevy. I'm going to have to dig into Bradish a little bit. His fantasy points on the road are strong, but he gives up a ton of hits and has a ton of base runners on the road. I don't really love that, and St. Louis against right-handed pitching, probably one that I don't know if he has access to a ceiling at all. So I do need to dig into Bradish a little bit more because I just don't want to blindly play him. McGreevy on the other side, I think I am going to consider, but again, I don't really want to be too exposed to him. He's capable of doing enough, right? 25. So, like, the upside's there. He put up 34. So, it's there. There's more K upside for him, but I do think it's a little bit more volatile of a matchup. And he's not a big K guy at this point anyways. So, I don't know. That game in general, just I need to look into the pitching matchup more. JT Ginn against the Twins. Not going there. Gage Jump definitely showed up last night after Springs the night before struggled. I don't really want to use JT Ginn, unless I absolutely have to, which I feel like I don't. Allows a lot more hits and base runners at home. K numbers take a hit, so no thank you. The other side, Connor Prelip. I am going to use Prelip, but understand it's super volatile. His last couple of starts have not been good. He gives up home runs and some walks. Like, he can look super dominant for a couple innings and then all of a sudden fall apart. He shut down this A squad about a month ago, exactly a month ago. So he's somebody that I want to utilize. The more we look at pitching on the slate, the more that I think it's super gross, top to bottom. I might allow my main stack to be my driving force in how I build things out, but I obviously want to make sure I get higher exposure to guys like Burt, Lambert, probably Gore, now that I look at the rest of the pitching slate. So, but there we have it. There's a first look at the pitching. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell, and get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to join us, get access to our cultures, tools, sheets, Discord, etc., I will drop a link in the description below. You can use promo code BOOK, BOOK. That'll get you 20% off any membership on the website. There's a link to a merch store. You can check out my design, some of the other stuff that we have. And as always, best of luck, everybody.